How you doing? I'm JB, and I am all in on Ten of Swords right now. If you want to hear my spoiler review for parts 17, 18, and 19, stick around.
Welcome to another Discovery Bay Comics production. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Well, how you doing, everybody? I'm JB, and welcome to another comic book review. Today, we are talking Ten of Swords, the epic crossover event going on right now in the Marvel world. We're going to be concentrating on these three episodes. We're talking parts 17, 18, and 19 of the story. And by the time this video is done, you're going to be completely caught up and ready for New Comic Book Day, as this epic crossover event will be coming to a conclusion this upcoming New Comic Book Day on Wednesday. Let's not wait around anymore. Let's tell you what we got. First off is the score. Coming out of the events of Wolverine and part 16 of the Ten of Swords storyline, we have a score of, let me get it ready, Arakko 5, Krakoa 2, and we learned early on that this was not just going to be a battle of swords, as there's lots of different events as this story starts to get very interesting. So let's jump right into it. In the first battle we're going to start with X-Force, issue number 14, part number 17 of the story. And it opens up with, guess what? A rematch. That's right. We've got Magic versus Pog in the rematch, as Saturnine has pulled the card, and Magic, who lost the arm wrestling match in this first time matchup, says, you know what? I've learned something. But before she can even get a word out, as Saturnine has said, once again, there will be no swords. Before she could get the words out that I learned something, Pog picks her up and eats her. Straight up gulp shot right there. Which is very interesting, because he starts to gag and gurgle, and then he throws up. And when he throws up, not only does Magic come out, but so does this little guy. And she makes the statement, there was something I learned. And the word Pog in Arakko, I think it means sword, which means your alligator pajamas were just one big sword, and she had figured it out, therefore scoring the point for Krakoa. So let's go ahead and update the board right now on the board. We're going to update the board to the current score of Arakko 5, Krakoa 3. Now, let me tell you, in the next 2 pages, things just go off the rails, and I may need your help in deciphering what exactly is going down here, because there are, let me count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 events in the next 2 pages, and the score is going to drastically change. I will update it at the end of this review, because check this out. Saturnine just says, let's get it on, basically. And it starts with what looks like who can survive the torture chamber better. And the point goes to Arakko. Then it looks like the next challenge is who can hold these huge boulders back. And again, the point to Arakko. Look at this challenge. Who can outswim some just crazy underwater demons? Once again, point to Arakko. Now, then we get down to this bottom one, and this is hilarious. And this one's hilarious. Captain Avalon looks like he's got a stomach that can handle anything, and gains Krakoa a point during that event. Then we go up here, and yeah, you're seeing it. That is a disco dance off happening in the comic book, and this is point Arakko. Then we've got this crazy maze. Remember seeing that one when you were a kid? The crazy maze, another point Arakko. This is going to be a runaway. Now, I know you're saying, wait, here's another matchup. We're definitely getting a point to Krakoa here, since they're both on the Krakoa side, but there's the puzzle, point to Krakoa. Yes, that is the runway. And even with Storm on the team, the point goes to Arakko. And the final one on this page, which is pretty crazy, looks like maybe it's a map or mystery quest. And once again, the point to Arakko. So let me update the points here coming off those 2 pages. And we have got Arakko 12 and Krakoa at 5. It's not boding well. So let's get to the next 2 pages. And actually, the next 2 pages are brought to us by the Previews magazine, and I will be sharing them with you now. So as we see walking through the crooked market, Captain Avalon is interrupted, and he's there for a reason. He's there for a challenge. And Saturnine says, hey, Captain Britain. He says, wait a minute, that's not my title. She says, well, it's yours for the taking. Remember, he's still mourning the loss of his sister, Captain Britain, as she was the first casualty of the event. Now, as we get to the next page, courtesy of Previews Magazine, you can see that it is Cap Avalon who is going to be facing off in a race, but the race is against Redroot the Forest. Well, Redroot the Forest is crazy slow, and as Jasper sends them on their way, looking for the finish line, Captain Avalon is kind of laughing, thinking, I got this in the bag. Well, little did he know, Saturnine has once again stacked the deck against him, and she's going to have her cronies take him out. So now we come back. Thank you again, Previews Magazine, for those 2 pages. Here you go. Captain Avalon is taking the beatdown, and during the beatdown, Root Lady is just kind of mosely walking through the market. Now, Captain Avalon's saying, hey, Saturnine, this is not fair. You're killing me over here. And the Root Lady barely knocks this crystal over and knocks it down. Well, it comes back important later. I mean, really important later, because Jaspers makes the comment, everything has a cost at the market. So we get to the next page, and the finish line is within Root, and it looks like Redroot's going to win, and she does, or he does. I think it's a she. And she even makes the comment, I've never won anything before. Well, point does go to a Rocco, so let me go ahead and update that. So that's 13-5, but here's the twist. Oh, Jaspers. And who knows, Jaspers may be behind this whole thing. Well, we don't know actually yet. But Jasper says, hey, congratulations, but there is a cost. And since the item that you broke is priceless, he ends up putting the voodoo magic on her. Now, while he puts the voodoo magic on her, Saturnine calls off her cronies, and Captain Avalon's like, is it over? Did I lose? And she goes, you got bigger problems, my friend, because Jaspers is upset at the damage that she caused. What do you think he's going to do to you? Well, I can help you. Now, they don't tell you what happens and what he asks, because they cut away. They do give you a nice little rundown of the dance-off, the eating competition, the drinking contest, the runway walk-off. These are all summarized on this page. But then we get into the story. Okay. These next couple of panels are really cool. We have two different challenges are going on this page. On the left, or your right, you have Wolverine versus the White Sword of the Ivory Spire, and his gentleman has a very unique ability of creating an army of 100 swords every morning. And on the other side, you've got Magic, who's going to be given a riddle, and she has to solve the riddle. Now, as you noticed, Wolverine and the White Sword are sitting in front of mirrors, and their challenge is they're going to be shown images of every single person they've ever killed, and they cannot show any emotion or even blink. Well, Wolverine drops a tear, and that cost a Rocco a point, and Magique does get the question right, maybe, I don't know, but does she spell it wrong, being funny? And she cost the team a point also. Coming off of these two panels, we have a score of 15-5. 15-5. Going into the next panel, and the next panel, they actually go and meet, this is hilarious actually, Gorgon can't handle it. Wolverine says, what are we dealing with here? And they said, these are the rock sirens of Clevermore. Few can resist their calls, and no, Gorgon can't resist their calls, and he cost Krakoa a point. So coming out of that panel, we are 16-5. How are we ever gonna, how is Krakoa gonna come back from this? This next challenge is just unbelievable. Captain Avalon against War in front of a dark wizard, and the wizard says, kill the kitten. Serious? Come on, man. He said, kill the kitten. War has no problem. She's gonna go straight and kill the kitten. And Captain Avalon's, no, you wouldn't. And because he tried to stop her, point Krakoa. Man, this is just a runaway right now. We are 17-5. Krakoa going into the next page here. Now, before we get to the next page, which is the interaction between Death and Storm, I need to do a little flashback session to give you, what happened here. In this Wolverine issue, there was a challenge between Storm and Wolverine to see who could handle their booze. And they only had a couple of sips out of this liquor that was poured by Mr. Jasper's. Death had actually bribed Jasper with a little gift to put the voodoo whammy on the drink. And this is important because not only did they get real drunk, but they also lost their abilities. So Wolverine had to fight without his healing ability. And now Storm, when she finally wakes up from her drunken slumber, is going to find out that she needs to fight Death. There's some great art in here. This page in particular, where Death and Storm are in the center of an arena, it looks like. It's beautifully, beautifully drawn. And Storm says, "Man, it smells like death in here." And Death actually says, "Actually, it's the undead," as they're in an arena of vampires. This is gonna be good. Now, let me talk about Storm. For all of you that don't know, she's a bad woman. And it's not just her mutant ability that makes her bad. She has been a hand-to-hand combat and a fighter for many, many years now. So he thinks he's got the upper hand on her. She realizes that she's been duped. And as he takes a swipe, and man, you got to see the detail here. He takes a swipe and literally cuts off some of her hair as he's coming for the kill. The challenge is on. She ain't backing down. She pulls her knife and says, "Let's get it on," basically, and teaches him a little something, something. So over the next couple panels, we've got a great battle between Storm and Death. Now, if you don't know what Death's ability is, his major ability is nobody can stare upon the gaze of Death and live. So he finally gets fed up and says, "I'm taking my helmet off." When he does this, Storm ain't no dummy. She blocks her eyes, uses her blade, and then guts him like a pig. Yes, she does. In the final page of this epic battle, as the vampires swarm, is Storm walking off to the quote that says, "Have a taste." That's how we conclude X-Force issue 14 with the score, Arakko 17, Krakoa 6. That's fantastic, folks. Let's get to the next comic. I am all pumped up. The next one in the run is Hellions. Now the story shifts to Hellions. Issue 6, but part 18 of 22 in the storyline. And hey, I'm going to be honest with you. This was a storyline that I was not going to pick up because I'm not a really big fan of this group. But when it became part of the Ten of Swords storyline, I had to jump on it. So this group, so just so I can tell you, who are the Hellions? The Hellions consist of Mr. Sinister, who's leading this group. You've got Havoc, Orphan Maker, Nanny, Wild Child, Psylocke, Empath, and Grey Crow. And this book opens, and right now they're on a quest. This is hilarious. They're on a quest to get the swords before the tournament starts. I know, the tournament's already started. So this actually opens with them coming through the Arakko gate. And as they come through the gate, Mr. Sinister says, "Breathe it in, Arakko." And Havoc has a funny line. You know who I wish was here to see this? My eye, you piece of blank. And this is a great line. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Deadpool. He says, "Yes, those hippogriffs took their bridge toll seriously, didn't they? I'll get the next one, I promise." So as they're coming through the gate of Arakko, is still leery of Mr. Sinister's plans here, and the Empath has taken control of Grey Crow. As the tournament has already started, they're not there to get the swords. They must be there for a bigger plan. And here we go. So the first mutant that they encounter on Arakko says, "What are you guys doing here?" basically. And as they explain what they're here for, he replies, "The Ten of Swords of Arakko? Children, they are in Otherworld through the gate you just came from, where they are wielded by the champions in a contest that is well underway." Poor fools. Now at this point, Havoc has lost his mind. "Sinister, you mother!" Where there's some more interaction between Havoc and Sinister. But really the issue is this mutant is extremely powerful on Arakko. And he wants to see the true intentions of Sinister, who tries to block him and says, "Get out of my mind." Ah, Mr. Sinister came all this way to collect the true treasure of Arakko. the genes of its mutants. Now, if you weren't familiar with Mr. Sinister's role, he was tasked by Professor Xavier during the House of X Powers of 10 storyline to collect mutant DNA for resurrection protocols. So he's always been about collecting DNA and cloning, and that's kind of what Mr. Sinister's thing is anyway. So his true intention was to come to Arakko to collect DNA. Well, this guy says, you're not getting any of my mutants. And he assembles this group of mutants that I've never heard of any of these cats before. So let me go over them real quick. And this group is called the Locust Vial. The Locust Vial is the sin-blooded scourge of Ameth. And let me go over them real quick. You've got Tarn the Uncaring, Mother Rapture, Hex Butcher, Sick Bird, Mudgear the Racanter, and the big, huge guy in the back is called Amino Fetus, and you must never let him eat. That could come to fruition. And when he reveals them, look on Mr. Sinister's face. Ah, that's what he wanted. He wants their DNA. And what does he do? He opens up a little box of mosquitoes and says, go collect for me. Bzzz. He calls them genetic collection drones. And as they start to swarm to go collect, oh man, this guy is upset. Tarn the Uncaring is upset, and he unleashes his guys, and the first thing they do is blow up the nanny. Now at that point, the empath says, oh no, I'm out of here. And he takes off. And when he does, he lets go of that mind control. The battle rages. But right here, you see what's important, as everybody and everything is going to be sacrificed for one goal over these next few panels. And the one goal is to get that DNA back. All of the members of the Hellions are just being ripped apart one by one. That big guy rips somebody apart and then goes to eat him, and his own people have to stop him from the eat. Here, Mr. Sinister tells Psylocke, you are the one, you've got to get this back. That's the most important thing. He gives her the collected DNA and says, go. Lots of action in this book as we go from panel to panel. They're running. She's got the DNA, and Tarn the Uncaring gets a hold of Sinister and says, oh no, you've really, really messed up. Breaks him into pieces. You think he's done. Now we jump over to the Avalon Gate as they've come through. Psylocke has made it. Havoc has made it. Psylocke has made it. Havoc has made it. Grey Crow has made it. And of course, Empath has made it because he was the first one to run. And as they all gather and say, wow, that was incredible, I can't believe we made it, they're surrounded by the guards of the gate. But of course, the Empath can take over their minds, which he does. Now, remember, the Empath let go of control of this guy, and he had control over him for the last couple of issues. And if he doesn't forget, and he gets his revenge, and he takes it out on him. Now, okay, so now they go into the gate into Krakoa, and it looks like they made it, but all starts to turn dark. And when it turns dark, more Sinister plan. Sinister kills Psylocke, kills Havoc, kills Grey Crow, collects his sample, which was the only true thing he needed. Witness to it all was the Empath, who also, to his demise. Now, the clone of Sinister runs through the gate, because I thought he was done for, but he runs through the gate and he says, my sweet holy God help, there's been a terrible attack. My precious Hellions, they're all dead. That's how we close this chapter. Now, we're going to get to the final conclusion of this story before we ramp up for the end of, and this was a side tale, still part of the tale, but not, no points were scored during that. All right, next up, Cable. Issue 6, part 19 of 22, 10 of Swords. Here we go. Now, this was another title, honestly, I would not have purchased if it wasn't part of this complete storyline. I was trying to thin out some of the X titles, but I'm all in on this. Now, this one opens with the quiet council on Krakoa waiting around, getting impatient. Who are they waiting for? Well, of course, Mr. Sinister, who was waiting for his DNA to show up. But of course, that's not what he's revealing. And as the council says, you know, let's talk. We've got things to discuss. Where are you? Why are you late? Mr. Sinister says, hey, we got bad news. We need to close this gate. You know, the things my group has seen, we need to close this gate. We are due for an imminent attack, which we already know based on the previous story that Krakoa ain't having it. And in this panel, Charles reminds us that's just not going to happen. To which Sinister turns off and storms out. Now we return to Otherworld, and it is time to get back to the contest. But this is one of those contests. So it looks like they're on Otherworld, and if you remember, there was a very weird, interesting wedding that happened recently, and that's going to come into play here in these next couple of panels. As the next challenge is Cable of Krakoa versus Bay, the Blood Moon of Araco. Now, Bay is that big, you know, lady that ended up marrying Cypher. So they're going to get to it. And sure enough, I mean, this is a sword fight. This is a true battle of the swords, and she ain't playing. She's coming strong. But, you know, Cable's no joke, man. And after she initially looks like she has the upper hand, and you know the whole dialogue of this entire Cable run is, you're talking about a guy who had tremendous experience, but this is the young version of him who doesn't have those experiences, and he's dealing with those because he's constantly saying things that show his adolescence. So in this battle, he says, you know, she's good, she's not as good as me, and he starts to come back, and sure enough, he has now got the upper hand on her. Now, he's got her down. He's got the opportunity to give the kill, but in the back of his mind, he thinks, I need to change my position because I don't want Cypher to see me kill her. And in that moment that he thinks about it, in that moment, you've got him go, do it, boy. He doesn't. And it takes just a second for her to slip and get the upper hand on him and literally turn him down, face down into the mud. And she is jamming his head into the mud, and she is about to do it. And you can see he's torn, man. He's like, man, I had the upper hand. What the heck just happened? And he calls out for his dad. Right as Bay the Blood Moon is about to kill him, Cypher runs over and he's like, no, stop, please. And, you know, he's been beaten. He says, no, please, he's been beaten. And Saturnine in this box says, I declare this fight was to the death. However, some deaths are of the spirit. And clearly, Cable's spirit had been broken. You may stay your blade, point Araco. So now as we turn, this is just, there's no way they can come back from this. I think there's only one challenge or two challenges left. We are at Araco 18, Krakoa 6, folks. Araco 18, Krakoa 6. The kid's calling out to his dad. Now, he's got a telepathic mom, so they're having a conversation. And she asks, are you hurt? And he's like, nah, but, you know, I let you down. And right here, you know, it gets a little campy in there, but right here, Saturnine snaps the link and says, yeah, I've had enough of this spine. But this is a very interesting scene. Now you've got Cyclops and Jean, and he's upset. And she says, you know what? Basically, she says, I've had enough. Let's go fix it. What is she going to do? I don't know. So right now, the score is 18-6. And the cards have determined that the next contest will be Gorgon versus the White Sword of Death. Gorgon versus the White Sword of Death. Remember, the White Sword of Death has the mutant ability to raise an army of 100 swords every morning. And it's on. You will face me after you make it through my swords, all 100 of them. Gorgon's like, all right. And this is cool. He sends number 1. And Gorgon has no problem lopping his head off. He sends 2 and 3. Gorgon has no problem lopping their knees off and then killing them both. He laughs, bravo! 4, 5, and 6. Cable says, this isn't fair. Death says, nothing's fair, boy. And it is on. Gorgon is just taking them out. Boom, 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 boom. Now this one actually gets to him, rips off his mask, jams him in the eyes. Now he can't even see, but he still kills him, gets him. Excellent. Send them all. And here you go. Gorgon against the army. Well, what's left over? 90-something swords heading his way, and he's about to slay some damage. And it's getting down. I mean, Gorgon's doing the best he can against the army of the 100 swords, but what do you think's going to happen? He's going to be overrun. Now, at this point, something huge happens. This is the big reveal. This is so huge. Saturnine says, by my count, Gorgon has slain 13 of the White Swords champions, giving Krakoa the narrow lead of 19 to 18. What? Are you kidding me? Every time Gorgon killed one of these swords that was at a point? Krakoa now has the lead? Are you insane? And of course, what are you doing? Kill him. Curse you. Finish him, White Sword, before he does any more damage. White Sword's all right. Let me go take care of this. And then White Sword gives him an opportunity. He says, hey, the White Sword stands before you, Gorgon. Your life is slipping away. Yeah, it is. In a moment, it'll all be over. When it's done, I will restore you and you will serve me. Never. Says not gonna happen. White Sword kills him. There you score 1919. Coming out of that battle with one battle left, she draws the card. 1 point awarded to Arako. The score is evened up. And now the cards will reveal the next contest. There's no need for the theatrics, witch. We all know what comes next. And this issue closes with, it's a duel fated millennia ago. And there you have it. We go into next week's New Comic Book Day for the final 3 chapters, the final 3 parts of this Ten of Swords storyline. And I'm pumped. This is good. The final matchup, and by the way, there's a little matchup board here. There's a little matchup board, and the final matchup is Annihilation versus Apocalypse with a tie score of 19 to 19. I want to thank you for hanging out and watching the review. Please, if you are interested in any of these books, consider purchasing them through the eBay link in the description below. Portions of the proceeds will go to help the channel, and man, I really appreciate it. As always, don't forget, we had a good time. Peace, everybody.
Nice work, everyone. Sharp broadcast. Really good. Everyone on the floor as well. Really a lot of hustle. I liked it.